I know the title says Star Wars needs Battlefront Classic essentially, but what I really mean is that Star Wars needs to release good games that the fans will enjoy, and re-releasing classics like the Battlefront games in a collection with online multiplayer is a really good step in the right direction because Star Wars has been in a really bad drought of quality games and games in general because of the exclusive deal Disney made with EA that thankfully ended last year. I mean, EA essentially was wasting the Star Wars IP. From 2013 to 2023, we were given 5 Star Wars games, and in my opinion, 4 of them suck. Battlefront 2, the EA one, is okay now, but EA didn't do enough with it, and Jedi Fallen Order's the best one out of the 5, but it's not very polished. EA is not a good gaming company, and it's obvious that they did not try and make good Star Wars games, but rather they wanted to make a product that would generate them a lot of money in the short term. The best Star Wars game in a decade has literally been a Lego Star Wars game, which is crazy to me, because it just tells you how bad of a state EA was leaving the Star Wars IP in, and I do hope Star Wars Outlaw is good when it comes out, but I'm gonna have a wait and see approach since Ubisoft is the company that's gonna make it. Ubisoft usually makes mid to bad games these days. And I'm not trying to be overly negative here, it's just the Star Wars IP gaming wise used to be so good in the 2000s to even early 2010s that when Disney took over and then had that exclusive deal, it just ruined everything in my opinion. So I am glad to see Disney learning not to let EA have sole rights to it. And on a more positive note, Star Wars Battlefront Classic is great, even though the games are about 20 years old. And I hope they use the collection to jumpstart the franchise on the gaming front, because like I said earlier, it's just not been good. And I'm not going to say if they will or won't, but I'm kind of hoping they use the collection as a way to add new content from the TV shows in the future, like the Mando Dark Troopers, the Bad Batch TK Troopers, New Republic stuff in general, or just new maps from locations the shows take place in. If they go that route, they will need to do what MCC does and let players decide if they want to interact with the new content or keep the authenticity of the experience from 2004 and 5. That way, people can get that old school authentic feel that the games had when they released back in the day. But if you want, you can also interact with the new content, which helps keep the game fresh. It worked on MCC, so why not this new collection? I mean, just think about it for a second. It's crazy that the Star Wars games have not used the success of The Mandalorian and the other Disney Plus shows to promote new games or have in-game events in already released games because they could have printed a lot of money. But instead, EA, and by extension Disney, really did waste a golden opportunity to expand the Star Wars brand. And the only one this is not applicable to is Lego Star Wars. I don't know if Classic Battlefront is really the right place to do it, but I want a Star Wars multiplayer game that will let you play as Captain Rex, Hunter, Hauser, Baylan Skoll, Din Djarin, Cad Bane, and Ahsoka. The fact that we as a fandom can't do that is insane, and makes me wonder, what is Disney doing? Don't they like money? Because they are passing up easy cash by not using the success of their Disney Plus stuff. I really hope Aspyr does well with the collection and treats these 2 legendary Star Wars games with care, because again, this can help launch Star Wars forward, and for a lot of people, this will be their first time playing these classics. I'm also interested in the collection because I want to try the online multiplayer since I never had the chance to play it back in the day, like I did with Halo 2 for example. Now a little off topic before I make my last point, but I also hope we see a re-release of Star Wars Republic Commandos because I want to try the arena shooter multiplayer that it offered back on the original Xbox because I never had the opportunity, and that genre of multiplayer game is more in my wheelhouse since I like Halo and I like old Call of Duty. And the last thing I really want to say is I hope Aspyr does good post-launch support for the game and adds little things like new maps, modes, and maybe unlockable in-game cosmetics that you could earn, not microtransactions, like Clone Trooper skins that EA Battlefront 2 does, as long as there's an option to not see it in-game too, like I talked about earlier. Now, I hope the collection provides a good Star Wars experience and helps get Star Wars on the right path of gaming. But I want to know, what do you think? Will this help the IP progress, or will it not? And are you hyped or at least interested to see how the collection does at launch? Let me know in the comments, and
I'm sorry, sir. It's time for you to leave.